Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you the 8th episode of Agree to Disagree, the series in which we pit against one another two of the Halo franchise's major components to see which one comes out on top. Now, last week I've decided to mix up the formula a little bit. Quite frankly, I felt like the original formula of Agree to Disagree was getting a tad bit stale, and I don't necessarily want that to happen. It just felt like there was a bit of a disconnect between me, the content creator, and you, the audience. You were putting across opinions, and I didn't necessarily do too much analysis or, gave people's opinions the credit that they necessarily deserved. I was seeing a lot of insightful, really well thought out opinions, and it was quite clear that a lot of you guys had put some time into it, and I was just kind of brushing them off and just going on to my opinion later on in the video, and I don't want that to happen. It almost seems a little bit arrogant, so hopefully you guys enjoy the new format, and it also means that I've only been able to feature 4 comments each video, so it may become a little bit harder to get onto the actual show. So hopefully that doesn't frustrate you too much, but it also means you get more spotlight in each video if you manage to get on. So there we go. So without further ado, let's go into the topic of this week's video. I decided to go with Thruster Pack versus Regeneration Field, and I got some very interesting responses. So let's go into this. Arthur Yan comes in with Thruster Pack is better because it gets you out of bad situations very quickly. Regen recharges way too slowly, even with AA efficiency. Also, Thruster Pack is very useful for ninjaing, avoiding vehicles, and quickly slipping behind cover. This saves my life at least 5 times per game. With Regen, you cannot deploy it in the middle of a gunfight to get out of the situation. These are some very straightforward points, but also valid. Avoiding vehicles, ninjaing, quickly slipping behind cover. I really enjoyed the fact that Thruster Pack is both efficient and flashy. It manages to get its job done in a very, entertaining way, I would say. When you watch a ninja stream, you are guaranteed to see at least one ninja that just makes your mouth drop, oh my god, I didn't know you could do that, I didn't know about that jump on that map. It encourages map-based knowledge. Haven has really it lets you open up the possibilities of all these different jumps, all these different strategic maneuvers, and I really love that idea, encouraging map knowledge and encouraging good Thruster Pack knowledge throughout. The regeneration point is a good one, although I would argue that with AA efficiency, the regeneration does recharge very quickly. Quite frankly, in my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily, part of me almost worries that it's overpowered, but I think it's got enough negatives to balance that out. But yeah, it's a very good comment, and I agree for the most part. Ryan Belt comes in with, I personally prefer regen, but I also think if Thruster is in the right hands, you can make some pretty beast jumps and get out of some sticky situations. Before I started watching this channel, I used Thruster mainly because I saw how well Ninja and BBK Dragoon used it, but now that I have seen the regen field's full use, I love it. You can be one shot against an enemy with full shield, run away, and 2 seconds later pop out with full shield. Regen wins for me. This is pretty much my stance on the situation, I have to agree. Ryan Belk is a subscriber that I play with on a regular basis, and he's got some really, really interesting opinions on the state of the game. Quite especially for his age, I always like to see what he comes up with. Now, regen basically gives you the opportunity to be more aggressive and advance in situations that you wouldn't be able to normally, which I personally love. It's perfect for my playstyle. I'm able to see situations that otherwise would be rendered, unapproachable, and regen gives you a chance to push it, basically. I've never really liked the idea of the battlefield becoming a minefield where you feel like if you make one wrong step, you are punished severely for it, and it encourages players to play more defensively. I've never really liked that, and at the beginning of Halo 4, I kind of felt that that might be a problem, but when I discovered regeneration, I realized it gave me a chance to be as aggressive as I wanted to. I think if you're a skillful enough player, you shouldn't have to be punished for the idea of being, pushing as hard as you want to. That definitely shouldn't be an attitude that is discouraged, and regeneration is something that brings that out in players. So that's why I love regeneration, really. Severe Outcast comes in with Thruster for me, basically because you can get super sick with it. The regen is cool, and I do use it if I'm rushing with an automatic primary weapon, while staying sharp on a secondary support role. Being a rusher is powerful with the regen, because when people see regen up close, they tend to push at it hard. This often leaves them deadly close to the barrel of an assault rifle or storm rifle. But Thruster, it doesn't matter, just juke everyone the hell out all the time. That's a good point, and it's something that I didn't take into consideration before making this video, that regen is kind of like, almost like a beacon for players across the map. map. Whilst on one hand, it lets teammates able to see your position and find out that you're in trouble, and then they can come and try and help you out in that situation, that confrontation. But on the other hand, it lets enemy players see you, and they know that you're kind of like a lamb for the slaughter, so they see you across map and they try and get to you. So that's definitely a good point. And duking out is definitely something that's really, really cool to be seen with the thruster pack. You know, it adds another dimension to strafing and map movement, and it's something that, like I said, it's flashy, it's cool, it's very presentable, whereas the regeneration isn't necessarily. Regen is just useful, it's just base useful, but it's not like someone would look across the map and go, oh my god, did you see that regeneration that guy just pulled off? It was insane. It's like, no, it's kind of more about what you actually do with the gunplay after the regeneration has been used. So yeah, I definitely see where Severe Outcast is coming from with that. GoodbyeSix, last but not least, comes in with, I think regen wins because it rewards better players. Someone who wins a 1v1 shouldn't be punished by being cleaned up a second later. Regen, while slowing down some gunfights, speeds up the game dramatically. The player doesn't have to wait hiding for his shields to recharge. Thruster pack needs to have 2 charges, like Evade, in order to be better. Right now it only benefits those with a cultured skill with the armor ability. The latter is best for uber competitive play. Now, if you haven't heard of GoodbyeSix, he is what I like to call a comment section commentator. He has some very, very insightful opinions, and even if I don't necessarily agree with them 100% of the time, he manages to articulate his opinions in such a way that it's kind of hard to not see his point of view at the very least. And I think pretty much he's spot on with his analysis of regeneration here. Quite frankly, the idea of being punished, you know, when you're in a 2-shot situation, you've just been taken down to a 1-shot, someone comes up and cleans you up as quickly as possible. It wasn't necessarily a battle of skills and wits in that situation, it was just someone picking up the easy kill as quickly as possible. Although, my counter-argument to that would be, you know, that's kind of call-outs that can help that happen more often, and, you know, if you use regeneration a lot and get out of those situations, then call-outs are rendered slightly less effective, because, you know, you can call out someone and say, oh, he's a one-shot over there, but then he isn't necessarily a one-shot because he's regened, which can be quite confusing. It almost adds a random element to the gameplay. It's funny because I use regeneration all the time, and there is this constant debate in my mind of, you know, is this armor ability as balanced as it should be? And I think when the shielding glitch was into play at the beginning of this game, it definitely wasn't as balanced as it needed to be, because players could pull off some insane stuff. But on the other hand, now that it is in its current form, it's one of the more debatable armor abilities in my eyes. I don't think it's as bad as Jetpack. Jetpack, I would argue, is unbalanced. It ruins map verticality, it ruins top control, and that's something that you don't want to see. And the developers have to construct their maps accordingly in order to be able to deal with the jetpack, which is not something I enjoy. Thruster pack, I would argue, is a much more balanced armor ability. I would argue that Thruster pack for me is probably one of the most respectable armor abilities, if not the most respectable, because it is very skillful to use and it's very flashy to use. And particularly, the only reason I don't use it is because I get myself killed with it a lot, trying to be cool. I'm too often trying to be cool with that Thruster pack, and I just need to calm down. Whereas regeneration, you know, it also allows me to be as aggressive as I want to, and it very much fits my playstyle. And I don't think it's overpowered to the point that, you know, I think, oh, it breaks the game. I definitely don't think that, because it has its severe advantage. As one of the comments put out quite nicely, Arthur Yan said, you know, in the middle of a gunfight, it's very hard to deploy it, and I think that's a very good argument, because, you know, your shields can still be taken down very, very quickly. So the votes basically came in as Thruster pack winning 21 votes, Regen with 10 votes. So yeah, it was a bit of a landslide, I'm not going to argue, and I don't necessarily blame people, because like I said, it is very balanced, and it is a very cool, flashy armor ability. So without further ado, let's go into the topic for next week's video. I've decided to go with Halo 3 versus Halo 2. It's a little bit of a controversial one, and some people won't have played Halo 2, so I understand if you're not able to give the best opinion, but hopefully you guys enjoy that topic, and I will see you guys next week. Peace out.